All right, whenever you're ready.
All right, start with turning on the computer. Do you want me to give you the password too, or?
Sure, go ahead.
It's 10801. Alright, so first thing, always open the folder and remap so your Z file is shared. So you'll right click this PC, map network drive, select Z file shares. First option, finish. The username is engraving. Password is Mark must be good for me with an exclamation point at the end. All the words are capitalized except the word 4, that is the number 4. It's posted right behind the computer. Alright, after you've done that, you can close out. You'll open SOS. Enter your login. You'll also open this first icon for Grav 9.
I might grab it from this side for now.
For SOS, I like to have order movement open. Order movement, you want to have the location set to traditional. Put your login name in there. And I also like to have order status check open and make sure that location is set to traditional engraving as well. We'll go back to the Grav style program. You'll X out of this. You'll click this little lock icon at the very bottom, and then you'll hit Control O for open. You'll select one of these that's closest to the item that you're doing at the moment. So our first item, it's going to be this guy. So the easiest one for that, because it's going to be facing us when we put it in here, is going to be the bar necklace. So open that, select no. Zoom out a little bit with your scroll wheel on the mouse. You'll want to open this menu option called color. It's basically your engraving tools over here. Green is fill, black is outline, so tool 0 is the outline, tool 2 is the fill. You can delete this. So right now you'll put this into the machine. Oh, also power buttons over here. This opens the grips. Make sure it fits flat in there.
And you selected Mark because it is not turned to the side.
Correct.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
straight on.
so we're straight up and down, so the bottom will be down here for this. So next you're going to select your points. To do that, you're going to click this icon, Material Definitions. I usually like to keep the automatic correction of margins selected, but honestly, this doesn't matter. What matters is this center thing. Make sure your orientation is correct. This is what we want. It's facing us. The other option that we do use is this one, which is facing to the right. Next, you're going to pick your points. This is called point and shoot. You want to make sure LED is selected and point shoot plate is selected. You're going to wait till this little play icon turns green and you're going to press it. That'll beep once, and then you'll use the directional pad to move the spindle and this. So usually start. If it's the first one, it'll kind of auto adjust to make sure the machine knows where it is. Once it stops, it'll let you start move. Up and down moves this, side to side moves this. So you're using the LED to select your points. You'll kind of see it come off to the side there. So we're basically just making a box in the circle. And when you're picking your points, it's helpful to know what's going on there. So this is just 2 lines of text. These first 2 lines here. So
This is going to be the first point.
yeah, this will be the first point. So make sure you're on the edge, and when you're ready to go, you hit the check mark, and then you'll move it to the next point, which will be a diagonal. So you're basically picking your top diagonal and your bottom diagonal, and that forms the box that you're going to use. The way I like to make sure I'm centered is just kind of eyeball where that dot is there and make sure it ends up in the same space. It's pretty easy because you're just pressing over, so you shouldn't be going up and down. You think you're good there, you can press up, and that'll move the whole piece up, and you'll select your bottom point. Okay, and press the check mark when you're ready to go. Then you'll come back over to the screen and you'll press the check mark. If for some reason you messed up or whatever, you can just press the X and go through it again. But for now, we'll do that. This should change to the area that you used. So go back to SOS, scan our order. We'll highlight our 2 lines. We'll press Control C for copy, Alt Tab to come back to the Grav style program. Come up to these text tools. It's the one on the right hand side. Bring down this drop down menu. This first option is what you want. It's called free text. It'll bring up this thing that say activate manual mode. You'll hit yes. Click anywhere in the box and you'll hit Control V to paste. It'll be way bigger than you need it to be originally, but just highlight it. And up here is your size for your text. So you just click down until it starts to look right and you got some space on either side. Then you'll click the font menu. This is going to be block 5th. So generally they'll be already selected and highlighted. You can just select them from here. For block 5th, if it's not there, it's in true type. All the other fonts are in Grav style. There's a list of them on the computer. Select that, make sure it changes, and you'll come up and select this arrow icon to go back to your selection tool. Reselect the text. You'll enlarge it with the boxes on the corners. Click and drag. To center is up here. Alignment tools, you'll click that open. This is centering to the middle of the page, horizontal center, vertical center, and center on the plate. So center on the plate is what we want because it centers dead center for what we selected. So next,
So generally, quick question, generally when you were selecting the points, were you trying to find spaces that were clearly at the very edge of where it might possibly go, knowing that there's going to be margin left in the middle, and so are you trying to stay on the outside edge is what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm trying to select as big of an area as possible. That way I can move whatever I need to around to make sure it fits correctly and it's aligned and spaced correctly.
Got it.
Like, it's better to pick a bigger box than you think you're going to need rather than a smaller one, because say like when we go to test this, we need to move this down below where we made the original border because that's what looks right.
Mm-hmm.
If we go to engrave, it won't let us. We'll have to go back and repick the points completely. So
I
it's
see.
easier to start with a bigger box and make the subject matter smaller versus start with a small box and have to go and redo the points.
Got it. Okay.
So for block fifth, we do have to fill it, but we're going to wait to make that the last step because it's easier to test while it's just the outline.
Mm-hmm.
So to do that, you're going to hit this icon up here. It's called machining. So to test it, you're going to want to use test borders with pauses. Select that. It should switch from spindle to LED. You're going to hit run. The machine should beep, and we should get this box up here.
Mm-hmm.
So to test the borders, all you're going to do is hit play, the play button to go to the first one. Alright, so this is good that this happened. Sometimes the machine will use the spindle to show you where the first point is, but we don't want that because it's hard to tell where it's actually pointing. So we're going to let it run through the cycle. Each corner is a press on play, so it'll go around. Now,
It looked like it was a very small box though at that time, didn't it? Or did I
well,
miss it?
it's just tracing the red boxes.
Okay.
It's not the actual border, so it's just tracing the text.
Could you do it just one more time?
Well, we don't want that. We
Okay.
want it to do it with the LED because it's too hard to see with the spindle. So you have to coax the machine to do that. One that definitely works is test inscription or test borders. Test borders only works some of the time I found. Test inscription always works. The problem with it though is it's going to trace every line. So if you have a lot of lines, it might take a minute. So we'll try test borders first and see if that works. Click that, make sure LED is still selected, hit run, wait for the machine to beep. Okay, you'll come over here and press play. Alright, now it's doing it with the LED. A little fast, but it's at least using the LED now. So now we'll hit test borders with pauses. We'll hit run again. Wait for the machine to beep and we'll get this little menu box. So we'll hit play and we'll go to the first corner. So that's kind of our margin on the inside of right here to here. So we want, when we hit play again, we want to make sure that's matching on the next side.
Mm-hmm.
Looks pretty good. Down. Make sure this is the same as over there.
Mm-hmm.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So for this, because it's just two lines and it's words, I'd say we're pretty good to just engrave from there. If you're still unsure, you can do the test inscription one. Oh, sorry. You got to make sure it finishes the cycle and actually goes back. You can do the test inscription. What that'll do is, like I said, it'll trace, it'll basically do what the spindle needle is going to do to the metal, just with the LED.
I see.
So I'll do that just so you can see it. Press run, wait for the machine to beep. You press play. That's more helpful for when you have symbols and stuff and odd-shaped pendants that you need to make sure fit in a certain space that isn't a box. But so I think we're good to run that. You hit cancel to get out of there. Like I said, block fifth you have to fill. So to do that, you're going to double-click tool 2. Just select anywhere that's outside there to deselect. Make sure this turns green. You're going to reselect it. Hit Control C, Control V to copy and paste. And you're going to double click tool 0 for an outline. Click and drag to highlight. Make sure tool 0 and tool 2 are highlighted so you have the outline and the fill. We'll go back to machining, which is where we did our tests originally. We'll do a preview real quick just to make sure the outline and fill are there. You'll have to zoom in to do that. You press this first magnifying glass here, and then you click and drag over the image that you want to zoom in on. So we got our black outline, we got our green fill, we're good to go. Hit close there. Now, whenever you open this machining thing, it'll start off in normal spindle diamond drag. That's what we want. If you're working from a template, which you should be, all these settings should already be good to go. So all you have to do is hit run, wait for the machine to beep twice. You'll come over here and hit play, and it'll go. First, the machine always used just to make sure it's recorded
Where am I?
Yeah, it kind of blinks at you when it's done.
Okay.
Generally, it's a good idea to clean it with tape, just in case there's any little bits of metal on there. So I like to dab here, just in case there's metal stuck on the engraving needle. No, there's a back for this.
And this was filled, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can do this while it's running, but if it's done, it's done. You can hit escape to get out of that, or cancel. Hit delete to get rid of that. And this has a back to it. So the back line is here. You'll come back to SOS. Control C to copy that back line. Alt tab to get back to your regular program. So before we enter that, we're just going to flip our piece to the back. Because it's got this notch up here and there's really only one way this can sit in here, our points that we picked earlier should be fine to continue on to the back for this. Can you step that way a little bit so I can actually get over top of this? It's a good idea to like stand completely over it so you can make sure that that notch up above is completely centered in there. And as long as that's centered, the rest of the piece should be centered. And you just want to make sure it's not going to move around if you put your finger on it. So it should be good. Alright, so same as before, hit this text tool, first one, free text. Over here, click anywhere. We'll hit Control V to paste what we highlighted from SOS. We should already be in block fifth because that's what we used for the first side, but if not, this is where you'll change that. But we're already there, so we'll come up and go back to our selection tool, which is this arrow. Come back over here, highlight our text, resize it. That's just click and drag. You want to make sure you're staying inside the box though, otherwise it won't engrave. Come back up to align it, it's this tool, and dead center is the bullseye looking one, center plate. Come up to machining to test it like we did before. Usually after you get the LED to go once, it should be good to go first try from there, but I kind of already went through how to get it to run. So we'll do test borders with pauses, run, wait for the machine to beep. Press play. So this will be a pretty small rectangle because it's just one longer word. Make it a little bit bigger than that. Maybe not. Back up, just make sure we're aligned. Go back into machining. Test border with pauses. Run. Wait for the machine to beep. Press play. And each time this is moving, it's just me pressing play. You can wait for it to make sure you're you're good as long as you want. That's why this testing version is a little bit better. Alright, so I think that's good. It's pretty centered. We're going to click cancel. Remember, this is block 5th, so we have to fill it. To do that, make sure it's selected, double click tool 2. Deselect by clicking anywhere and just make sure it's green. Reselect, hit Control C, Control V to copy and paste. Double click tool 0 for our outline. Click and drag to highlight. Make sure tool 0 and tool 2 are highlighted. Outline, fill. Come back over here to the machining icon, click that. And we'll preview just to make sure our fill went through. Magnifying glass, the first one, click and drag. Got our green, got our black, we're good to go. Close. Make sure it's on normal, spindle, here, diamond drag, click run. Wait for the machine to beep twice. Press play, and it'll go. Alright.
Okay.
So when piece is done, loosen the vise, check it out. It's a good idea to clean it with tape. Bottom of the needle. Just double check it, make sure you're all good. Everything's centered. And you're gonna hit escape to close that. Delete to get rid of that. You'll Alt-Tab back to SOS. Come over to order movement and scan the order that you just did out. And ready to move on to the next one.
Nice. All right, let me